And we are live. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing? I see all y'all in here. I really appreciate your patience with us tonight. So, welcome, everybody. This is another Mental Health Monday. And the title of today's conversation will be about the truth about perfection. We are going to talk about body image, mental health, and how to find your confidence in whatever body God gave you that's absolutely beautiful. So the very first step in getting the best body that you could ever really want is to love the body that you're already in and appreciate its functioning. And I have with me Miss Fanny Tristan coming back on. I'm so happy. She's the breakup coach, y'all, and a fellow social worker. Say hello to everybody, Miss Fanny.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here tonight.
Oh my gosh. And look at her Instagram, Her Soul Supply. I love your Instagram. I'm still loving on your Instagram. I see what you're posting. It's so positive. It's so wonderful. These are ideas and concepts that we need to hear. And y'all, of course, can follow me on Instagram, Coaching with Dr. Alicia, Her Soul Supply for Miss Fanny Tristan. Listen, we are social workers. We are therapists who are also social workers. And so we want to say hello to everybody. So, hey, Joshua, how you doing? Joshua, hit me up. I want to talk to you. Joshua already got some great comments. Look, he's already in the conversation for today. We're going to talk about Black beauty and how beauty standards are built on European beauty standards. Yes, absolutely. You're so smart, Joshua. And hello, Patricia. Hello, Rick. Hey, I want everybody to put in the chat where you're coming from. And I also want you to let me know, how do you feel about your body, your physical body? Are there things about your body that you absolutely appreciate and love? Everybody's got strengths. Everybody's got areas of improvement. But to recognize those areas of improvement, we also have to recognize our strengths and things that we love. So let us know. Yes. Hello, Mr. Dennis from Minnesota. How you doing? Howdy, secondary count. I really appreciate it. So let's jump into the topic. I want to talk about a video that went viral. Fanny, this video went viral. I'm not into beauty pageants, and I know you mentioned earlier that you weren't necessarily into beauty pageants, but I did. What caught my eye earlier a few months ago was the this Miss Universe pageant where Miss Trinidad and Tobago, who, by the way, will probably be joining us today. She has some Wi-Fi issues, but she's been in contact with us and she's very excited about coming on and talking about it. So as soon as she gets her Wi-Fi together, she's going to weigh in on it. But there was a video that went absolutely viral. I don't have it with me now, but we'll have her here to talk about it. She got a lot of flack because her body, and it's so interesting what Joshua is talking about. She's not super skinny. I just a few days ago, I was watching the Golden Globe Awards. I was overwhelmed by how skinny these things. Hey, Jenelle is here. Look at her. Hi, Jenelle. How you doing? Please join us. Check your email. Hopefully you can get your Wi-Fi going and join us so that we can hear your words and your voice about what happened. I saw your very inspirational video, how beautiful and lovely you were and how well you composed yourself, because not only people from all over was criticizing her body because it didn't fit into this super skinny standard. If y'all look at Jenelle, check her out on Instagram. She's absolutely beautiful in the body that she's in. And she got a lot of flack from everybody, but also people from her own home country were talking about her because she put on her swimsuit and she was looking absolutely fabulous, but she didn't fit this super skinny standard that often beauty pageants promote. So today I want to spend some time to talk about it. We'll have Jenelle will come on here, I'm certain, and she will talk about what happened to her and what she went through in this very unfortunate situation. But while we get into that and while we wait for Miss Jenelle to come on here, what do you think about this beauty standard and how for a lot of Black bodies, we are compared to this standard that we could never live up to, this standard of whiteness in terms of beauty?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is, I mean, you can have a whole semester in college just talking about Eurocentric beauty standards. Um, I just launched a webinar talking about beauty standards. It's all about decolonizing your singlehood mindset, and a good half of it is about beauty standards, right? And how that contributes so much to our self-worth. And I really think about how, you know, how they say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? And yes, that is about like what we think, what we think about what we see, but I think it also applies to what we think about what we see in the mirror, right? And I think that that's kind of where it all begins, right? Like if you look in the mirror and you are the beholder and you look and you don't see the beauty, you don't see the opportunity, you don't see the ways in which you can have gratitude for your body, that that goes, you know, that fills your mind up with all the negative things. I wish I was this. If only I could do that. If I could cut out that. If only I didn't have this, right? If these are all things that we're saying to ourselves in our minds, it impacts the way that we feel, and that impacts what we do. That impacts the way we see the world and how we see ourselves in the world. And so, what we think about ourselves, just because we don't say them out loud, doesn't mean they don't have a humongous impact on the way that we function and how we move through the world and how we interact with people. So sometimes it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy where you think you're not worthy of something because you don't look a certain way. So you act like you are not worthy of things, and people don't give you things because you don't ask for things, you don't advocate, you don't do all the things that people do to get things that they want, right? We make ourselves small. And so just what you think about yourself has such a huge ripple effect on your entire life, even if it's something you won't admit to another person or say out loud.
Yeah, I mean, what you carry with you in your head and your thoughts, it can dictate, you're right, how you interact with the world, but also it can dictate your worth for your body. That's why your self image, what you see in the mirror, is so connected to depression. It's so connected to anxiety because you're placing yourself in these standards that you could never ever live up to. And when we see one way of being better than, then everything else is marginalized and oppressed. And that oppression is internalized. And you start to think, what's wrong with me? What's happening with me? And that reduces your self esteem. And yeah, it has an impact on just making sure that your contact with the outside world is in a place where it is you feel confident. So if you feel confident, you feel good about yourself, you're going to make sure that the people around you treat you in a certain way. So it just plays into it. And if you feel bad about yourself, you're not going to have standards for other people. You're going to date men and you don't even care who they are. You don't care what they're about as long as they like me. Oh my God, they like me. What's going on? I'll date them. Yes, Miss Breakup Coach. And you feel absolutely devastated and you listen to what a man wants other than what you want because you don't feel worthy. So it all kind of like plays its part on how we are. And as we talk about this, we have Miss Trinidad and Tobago. Hello for joining us. Absolutely beautiful. We welcome you on. Girl, your clap back was amazing. I was like, I got to get in touch with her. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me okay. It has been a struggle, but the devil is a liar, and we're here.
That's right.
Right here.
Devil is a liar. Your words and your message needs to be heard all around, and it will today. Tell us, Miss Jenelle, What was this whole experience like? You got two licensed therapists here. We are all ears. We want to hear from you. What happened during this, the Miss Universe pageant?
Right. So for persons who do not know me, hi everyone, I'm Jenelle. I decided today that I wanted to be, yes, I have the crown on, but I don't have on any makeup because I wanted to come as real and authentic and as raw as I should be. And understanding that a beauty queen doesn't mean that I have to live in some sort of made up world. Like, I'm a real person, and I tell people this all the time. So the competition for me personally, I needed what I needed to do for me. It was very selfish. I wanted this. Thank you, Joshua. I like him. We like him over here. um, I've been doing pageantry for 14 years. Miss Universe is my third international competition. I've represented my country regionally as well. So this was not something new to me, but the opportunity was right there. Miss Universe decided to raise its age. I am going to be 33 in 3 weeks. I am married, going on 10 months now. So there wasn't a space for a woman like me to compete at that high level. And the opportunity was there. So I thought, I kind of think of myself small. I am worthy and deserving of this opportunity. I believe God did it in his right timing. He knew what was going to come from this. And a lot of people ask me, like yourself, really, like, how did you really feel? And truthfully, to this day, I still don't know how much would have been said or not said. I have seen all the love and support though, and I still get that back home and all over the world actually love that for me. But it just showed me in that entire experience that the voice within has to be louder than the voice outside. That this universe was the biggest lesson of knowing my self-worth and just knowing myself, because you can get lost in the gravity of it's an international competition. I competed with 127 other women in a country where I've honeymooned in Mexico, so I've been there before. In my country, thank God, we do Spanish is our second language. I didn't really feel out of place, but at times you were meant to feel out of place when media would not, take photos of you because of the shade of your skin, and there was a lot that was happening. And then, as you rightfully said, to hear that back home, I was being dragged for filth. And it was so ominous to me. I thank God for my husband, because he saw it and he told me, listen, I don't want you to go looking for anything. I need you to be focused. It was the day of preliminaries. He's like, I just need you to be focused. And like, I got you. Like, you don't need to be worried about anything. I'm like, what is he even talking about? Worried about what? And then I saw it. My girlfriends, they were fighting my battles for me. I saw it. And I'm like, oh. But it felt like very much water running off my back, because I realized that my confidence was the straw to break the camel's back in those who are insecure in their own selves. And they put their insecurity on me, and they thought, well, someone who looks like this should not be that confident. Someone who looks like this should not be able to go into a room and make a statement. And for me, pageantry has always been more than the crown, the sash, title of being on a stage. Life is pageantry. I should be able to walk into any space, from a grocery to a supermarket to a doctor's office. And if I feel I'm that girl, then I'm that girl. It is what it is. So when I made the video that you're talking about, the response video, I blissfully unaware, living my best life. I'm thinking, okay, let me make a statement. Didn't know that it was actually going to be a statement. I said, okay, let me just say my piece and keep it moving. I didn't expect in the video as well that the girls, they were saying so much beautiful things to me and about me, and people were really just so supportive, that I think that because it was so authentic and it wasn't scripted, it was not put across in a way that you think that I had this big setup and like those YouTube gurus who come on YouTube to cry. It wasn't that kind of vibe. It was
No, it wasn't.
hey guys, I am living my best life and I'm doing something that I've always wanted to do, and I have the opportunity to do this. And So I didn't think that that girl was going to become such a phenomenon, but I'm happy for it. So yeah, I'm that girl, and I will always be that girl. And I love that because I want persons to also have their aha, I am that girl moment. And it isn't just for women. I see a lot of men who they tell me thank you in an indirect kind of way because not only for themselves, but they see it in their partners and their mothers. I've had people tell me, I shared your video with my daughters. That pulls on my heartstring every single time because I know what it feels like to be a young Black woman who hates the color of her skin, your texture of your hair, um, grew up wanting to bleach my skin and didn't like aspects of myself. I didn't think that I was feminine enough, and that's crazy for a 5 or 6 year old to be thinking of. So here I am with all of these baggages, and I'm just saying, like, I'm leaving it all in the Miss Universe stage. Take it or leave it. I didn't need to win the crown to know that I won the crown.
Yes.
Talk all night. So let me stop right there.
No, this is so wonderful. I love this story. And I'm going to tell you, I've been to Carnival. Nothing. Listen, if y'all got body image issues, go to Carnival and you'll be feeling good about your
absolutely
Black body. And it's so tied to slavery because our Black bodies were put up on an auction block to be sold. And we were looked at not as who we were, but as objects, as a commodity to further an economic powerhouse such as slavery. And yes, it happened in the Caribbean. People got off the boat a little sooner, the ships, before they went to the Americas. And I think, so much of that is through that. And they look at our bodies as if we're asking for, to be mocked and to be devalued in some way. And we were blamed for the harsh treatment that we received because we looked a certain way, and therefore we deserve to be violated. Our bodies deserve to be violated in that way. And, now's the time to talk about these things and to talk about image and skin color. Believe it or not, my children are dark, and I see what they go through, and I see the privilege of a lighter skinned person like myself. And I reject that privilege, by the way. I see people in here talking about colorism. That's a real thing. But the one thing I do love about the Caribbean, I lived in Guyana. Guyana is a CARICOM country, y'all. And for 5 months, but in that moment, I felt good. Just having that environment made me feel good. And then, of course, I had to come back to America and, United States, and then it all just went out the door. But it was so beautiful to not have that worry on my head like I had. And I don't know, I just think it's great. You mentioned you had a strong community behind you to support you. And that really makes a difference. Fanny, do you have anything to comment and respond to this wonderful story here?
Yeah, I think that, Jenelle, I think more people should be speaking out, in the way that you have about what beauty means to you. And I think, I love what you said about, the voice on the inside needs to be louder than the voice on the outside, right? Because in the work that I've been doing, especially in the beginning of the new year, where everyone's in their diet mode, and I'm working with a lot of women who are fresh out of breakup, so they're in like revenge body mode, like they're trying to get the body so that when they see their ex, they're like, I'm the one that got away, and I have to do a lot of challenging around that motive, right? Like your body is your own, and a woman, her body is her own. So she gets to choose what she wants to do with her body, how she wants to look. I think a lot of the criticisms that people have about women in their bodies is it's terrible for so many reasons, but also for the fact that a lot of women behave the way they do about their bodies in response to what the world says. Because they're too fat, because they're too skinny, because their nose is big, because they're too dark. There's no winning. There's no winning, which is why I almost don't blame celebrities for when they do it, right? Because I'm like, I can't even imagine the world that you live in where you've convinced yourself that you didn't look good enough, even though you already got famous and you needed to do more, you know? And to me, that just seems like these are all a symptom of the fact that we just aren't accepted for who we are. And that it's a choice that we actually have to make to advocate for ourselves and what we want and how we want to live our lives on this planet in our bodies, right? We can't just be who we are. We can't even be who we choose. And when, I do a lot of this work, it's heartbreaking to hear, oh, you want to work out, you want to do these things to your body. Okay, but are you doing them for you or are you doing them for someone else? Right? Because even if you're working towards your revenge body, you're still leaning on your ex's approval.
Yes.
When you think about it, right? Like, didn't they do enough damage? Now you got to heal on their time because you need them to look at you and be like, oh, wow, that's still needing their approval for you to move on, right? And so I just think that the more women speak out, even if you are someone that wins, a beautiful crown, to still say, I still get criticized. And I still am a human who has feelings and have to actively work every single day to make sure that I keep loving myself so that this world doesn't destroy me. Right? I think a lot more people need to speak up about that.
Oh, that is so true. I was on TikTok not long ago at the New Year, and on TikTok I'm seeing new me. It's my glow up for 2025. Well, what's wrong? What was wrong with you in 2024 that you feel like you have to all of a sudden glow up in 2025? It's just these thoughts about it. And again, I don't want to point fingers at people who actually do feel like they need to change something about themselves. I'm not upset with them, and I'm not upset with these celebrities. Who I'm upset with is the system that keeps this going. Those are the entities and the people who continue this system that we need to direct our attention toward changing some of that. Jenelle, did you want to respond to this?
Boy, oh boy, I feel like if I am at home right now, it is such a hard journey when you are on that pathway of self-love, self-discovery, and it never ends. And I know when I tell people that, they're like, oh, no, but it's a beautiful thing. It's because you can redefine, you can rediscover, you can reimagine who you are. But what is at the core of what it is you're doing? So I so agree with you, Fanny, with your example, because what is at the core of it all? In my journey, what has helped me love myself in every step of the way? I say this because as a newlywed, I eventually want to start my own family. Who knows what my body is going to look like if I am blessed to have kids? I think, especially as women, because we allow social media and society to really be negative for us, we don't understand that our bodies give life.
Yes.
Both by nature and by nurture, because I speak for the women who may not have the ability to do so, but you are a life giver. And when you have to change your mindset, when you change your mindset, you can change the world. I had to be accountable because, of course, if I wanted to, I could have done exactly what other girls would have done. And I could have gone there as a size 0. I know I could have, right? And even on my working out and exercising, I'm like, what is the reason for this? If I drop 100 pounds right now, like, what is the message am I sending by doing something like that? So I had to be accountable. I had to be vulnerable with myself, which was the hardest thing ever. But I understood after a few years that my vulnerability is actually my strength, because I want to show people that I am human, that I'm not letting anything fool anyone else. Like, listen, I go through it just as you guys do, and that will never change. But the biggest part of the trio is grace. Jen, girl, give yourself some grace.
Yes.
Please, it's okay. You were able to get yourself on a quick diet 10 years ago, 10 years ago, but you're not in your early 20s anymore. So it took me a long time to realize as I get older, my body changes and how I treat my body has to change. We don't do what we used to do, go out in club, yeah, but we can go to work or go to school the next morning. 5 hours sleep, not even 20 minutes nap, and we're good. Now, I need my rest and I need my water. So in this, just yesterday, I was having a conversation with someone with an interview, and I said, all right, so we sit on our phones and our TVs and our laptops, and we just consume so much that changes our reality. Unless they're paying your phone bill, block, mute. Oh, that was the greatest thing for me. Oh my gosh, guys, I had so much fun. That's my tip for the night.
You block people?
What? Oh. That is my guilty pleasure for 2025.
Yes.
You know, and I don't like it, blocked.
Yes.
I want you to be so confused to be like, wait, how come? Block. Yeah.
Block. Yeah. Take them out of your orbit.
Correct. I don't want you to ever feel that comfortable to think that you can come into my space and disrespect me.
Yes.
Because if you don't have anything positive to say, that's okay, but you can keep it to yourself. I'm glad that we're having this conversation, because oftentimes we have these conversations in silos, where it is we don't put ourselves out there to have it, because this is a lived experience for so many women all over the world, but especially as an Afro-Caribbean woman.
Yes.
Because if you see the typical Afro-Caribbean woman, she looks just like me.
Yes.
So to get the hate, and I got a lot of hate from women, and I saw through it immediately. Like, babe, I want you to love yourself at every version. When you were 15, at 25, at 45, at 75, it's okay. And if you want to change something, as you were saying, Doc, if you want to change something, change it. You can change it. We will never fault you for wanting to be better and do better. But an amazing body, but with a dark heart, it ain't gonna work. So that's me for now. As I tell you, I love to talk.
No, this is really great. And I, in preparation for today, I was listening to an argument saying that body positivity is a scam. That really body positivity is a concept used in two different ways. Number one, used as a way of justifying poor lifestyle, poor eating habits. And two, body positivity is a scam because it is a way to market, because we know that all of these different body types, we're consumers. And so it is a way to market, like Victoria's Secret, for instance, is like, wait, if all of these women have different types of body types, let's go ahead and promote a fuller figured woman and promote some of that, because they're another market share of which we can sell our products to. So it's like a capitalistic system. It's being promoted. So I heard this argument and I was like, interesting, because they're thinking that someone who, according to your BMI, is going to have a direct correlation with your health. And we know that that is not true, because I looked it all up. And, there are some super skinny people who have terrible eating habits, who have, hypertension and a lot of health problems because they're not taking care of their body. So I understand that it's how you take care of your body more so than how much you weigh. Yeah. So I don't know, either one of you can take some of that, because it's a little bit of a devil's advocate in some of the backlash of this whole body positivity movement.
Love that you brought that up, because to some extent I do agree, but that's with everything, where once they can market, whoever once they can market it, they're going to run with it.
Yeah,
they will, and that's just the nature of business, and they're going to do that. I think what is the most important thing, and what has to be at the forefront, and what has gotten lost in the body positivity movement, from me, and this is purely Jenelle speaking here, this is not a selfish initiative, it's a self-full initiative. Yeah. So you have to not get caught up, once again, in the noise. I am body positive because I am loving myself through the stages of life.
Yes.
I've been, the fact that I'm here still to make it to 2025, it's a new year, that is my mindset. But I can easily see how the goal can be derailed when we're talking about body positivity, but then we're going to the extreme where it is we have things like feudalism taking place. And we have women who are now putting themselves into a health risk because men are men and they will feed you so that you can gain all this weight. And it's just like that is not body positivity. But realizing, and listen, I'm on full figure woman. I don't really have any intentions to be a size 2, but I want to be able to go to Target and get close to myself. That how could that be wrong for anyone to just want quality life? So I think people will piggyback on which topic they can extract to once again push their narrative. It has never been about that. It will never be about that. It's really about loving yourself and not apologizing for loving yourself as you are. That's what I think. What do you think, Fanny?
Yes, but Fanny.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah, I mean, I think that, the original that what you were reading, Dr. Alicia, is, I think that is classic fat phobia, honestly.
Yes.
I think that, that's another beauty standard that we, pretend doesn't exist. And I really think that a more accurate term than body positivity is body acceptance, right? If we can all accept that fact that our bodies aren't all supposed to be the same, right? Like in general, the same, like it just was never supposed to be the same. It's how Mother Earth wanted it to be, right? It's how our creators wanted it to be, right? And so I really reject this idea that there is this expectation that there is a healthy body type, because I truly believe in the movement, health at every size. Have you ever heard of that? They call it HAES. You can get medical providers that are HAES providers, as in their values align with the principles of health at every size, which means, you could genetically be just like a bigger person. I'm a plus size girl. I've always been, right? But I definitely think that there are times in my life where I was really unhealthy. And now, as a woman who, I'm going to be 40 years old this year, I go to my doctor, and, I spent my entire life having these doctors that were like, your daughter's too, she's too fat. She needs to lose weight. She needs to lose weight. And I played sports. I did all sorts of things. And there were times where, yeah, my height caught up with me and I looked thinner, right? But I think also, as I've gotten older and I am still active and I still do these things, I only can lose so much in terms of my quality of life. And I feel healthy. I go to the doctor and she's like, well, how do you feel in your clothes? I'm like, I actually feel good. I feel toned. I feel like I can drop to my knees and get up. Not everybody can do that, right? I feel like I can run after my kid, right? I feel healthy and I don't meet the BMI. The BMI standard says that I'm morbidly obese or more, right? And so I think that there needs to be a little bit more interrogation of those expectations, right? Most medical history, most of the data that we have about medicine, especially about weight, actually is all data that was created for men.
Yep.
That's right.
For white men specifically, right? Mm-hmm. The amount of science that we don't actually know about women's bodies is embarrassing, that in this day and age, we barely know about the woman's body. And that's why I love seeing so much content now about how women aren't just doing these diets based on what medical, what the doctor would say, that a lot of their diets in general, or just what they eat, is based on their menstrual cycles. Because which makes sense. It's like your body goes through a cycle every month and it's hormonal. So it's going to dictate what you actually need to eat. So when you're in these periods of being tired because you are ovulating, you're actually not supposed to work out all the time, right? Your body doesn't actually want that, right? And so there's certain parts of, the different phases that you're in for your, in your menstrual cycle actually dictate the kind of food that's ideal for you to be eating, that actually levels out your body the way that it needs to be. Just like how when women are postpartum, we give them like iron-rich food because we need to replenish that in them because of all the blood they lose during childbirth, right? That's just a no-brainer. Oh, we need to replenish her, and then that's good for her milk and all of those things, right? We actually should be doing that all the time for our bodies just because we are women, but no one teaches us that because that's just not what whoever is in power making these decisions about what is healthy and what is not, they're not teaching girls that. They're teaching us what they want men to do or what works for men. But what works for women doesn't work for men.
Yeah, we really need to change these so-called standards. And just listening to you talk, I'm thinking about pictures of me from 20 years ago, and I've looked back at those pictures and I remember what I told myself, like, oh, if I could just lose 10 pounds. And I'm looking at this picture and I'm like, there was nothing wrong with what I looked like back then. Before I had children, my body looked fine. I would love to be back into that same body before I had 3 children. And talk about having babies. Like, I got stretch marks, but you know what? I'm not going to get it fixed. That's me being a woman who had 3 children. And there's so many people that can't have it. So I just got to really love the body that I'm in. And it wasn't until I looked at those old pictures of myself where I really thought I needed to lose 10 pounds. Like, I was really going around thinking if I could just lose 10 more pounds, there was nothing wrong with me. I never needed to lose 10 pounds. It's really crazy. And just recently, and I'm really worried about what this is doing to youth and for teenagers, and there was a trend on TikTok where they were going up to these young girls and they're saying to them, would you rather be obese or would you rather be hit by a car? And all of them were saying, oh, I'd rather be hit by a car. All of them said they would rather be hit by a car than to be, 20 pounds heavier than what they are now. So that tells you how social media is really taking its toll on especially young girls. And me, I'm older, it has an effect on us. How could it not? Jenelle, you wanted to comment on that.
That has to be probably the most insane thing I've heard. What I am fearful at times to have children, because what world are we really bringing our kids into, and how do you protect them? There's only so much that you can do, right? They have to go out to school and they have to go out to the real world and they have to go out to work. How do you protect their mind so that they don't get lost? And it's funny because we've all been there. I'm sure we all remember ourselves as teenagers, as you rightfully just said. Oh boy, what a topic.
BBLs.
Right. Let's just bring it in. We go from one far extreme to then now all the Instagram girlies look the same. They all look the same. And that's another type of unattainable body type, because I'm pretty sure we weren't all born to look like a wisdom tooth, but it is what it is. Because we go so far. We go so far to decide what is beauty. And I would never tell someone that don't elect to get plastic surgery if that's what you need to do, because that is another part of the conversation. But how do you stop young girls from comparing themselves? And we all know comparison is a thief of joy. So now that for me, back home, I'm trying my hardest to get this off the ground, and I want this to really become a movement, really trying to get that Dark Girl movement started, because it's really about you putting in your head, I am. That I am statement is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout my journey at Miss Universe, for sure I had that I am. I know the girls were just like, Miss Trini, how are you always? Because girl, if not me, then who? It's almost a sense of delusion. Like, I have to. If not me, then who? But then you have young girls being caught up with, it's either you need to be a size 6 and lower, or if your waist is not a 24 with a big butt. I don't have a big butt, so I struggle. I'm like, I'm walking past, and you know, men love to catcall. I'm like, honey,
Girl, I need to put your
basket.
swimsuit picture up because you were absolutely beautiful. I don't know. I don't know how to work the system. I need to get better at YouTube. But y'all look up Miss Trinidad Tobago. Look at her in that swimsuit. You look absolutely amazing. And your confidence. I was like, yes, full-figured woman. Here we go. And you're not even that. You're a normal size, actually.
I think that's the thing that was actually the most heartbreaking. One, there was Miss Suriname, who also was not a typical ratio. She was like size G or H in her bra. She wasn't like, so there was another woman who wasn't the typical size. And I also feel that my representation is not only for one end of the spectrum, I'm using that term very loosely, but for also the very petite women.
Yes.
The 4'11", 00 who feel like they don't have a space or a place in that kind of arena, but you absolutely do. The 6'5", super skinny, super lanky, but I want to become a model, or the average woman. And I think I represent the average woman.
Yes.
So I found it honestly a little bit disrespectful, because I know there are women who are going to watch me and be like, she's not plus size and she does not represent us. And I didn't want anyone to feel like I am trying to jump on the trend of, no, it's not about that. But it's just in that industry, I technically am. But to be honest, I'm like a size 10, a size 12.
That's a normal size.
I'm like, if I go to a plus size casting, they're going to watch me sideways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's really not about that. It's really about shattering the glass ceiling.
Yes.
And stereotypes are just that, a stereotype. When we understand it's a beauty pageant, but for me, this is a job. I'm an ambassador for my country. This is a job. This is not something I take lightly. Why is it that you are asking me for my dress size, but if a man needs to be a CEO, you're not going to ask him for his pant size? So why is it that he can be whatever version of himself and his ability to do the job is never called for question? But as women, and we see that in so many different ways, how could you be a mother and a CEO at the same time? But men have kids.
Yes.
And they lead countries, and we don't bat an eye. Why is that the case? Why is it that when we go into different fields, what comes to the forefront is you should be a little bit more put together. You know, that is not as flattering on you. Does that call into quality of the kind of job that I can do? Absolutely not. So it is an uphill battle, but we need to be able to hold each other's hands through this. The fact that we're all doing this right now, and everyone who's here listening, is just like, we have to hold each other accountable. And the only way that we're going to get through is by having the conversations. I think open dialogue has to be one of the most powerful tools.
It is.
Because we won't know if we don't talk about it.
Yeah, we need to talk about it. And we also need to talk about the stats. But before then, I just want to welcome everybody. Hey, y'all. I see y'all in the chat. Look at this. Look at everybody in the chat. Now I'm like Monique, I don't trust skinny women. Now listen, there's nothing wrong with skinny women. Yes, they saw your swimsuit photo. Thank you, Wayne Solomon. He saw your swimsuit photo on IG. Nothing was wrong with that swimsuit. It was actually absolutely beautiful. You'd be a great swimsuit model. And actually, I actually told her to bring me the pretty doll every time until she understood. Okay, Karen is up here weighing in. Thank you, everybody. I want to thank you, everybody. Listen, y'all, I got Miss Universe Trinidad and Tobago here. Her name is Jenelle Thongs. Yes. And she clapped back, y'all. Check her out on Instagram. She is clapped back because people are talking about it, because she was doing the Miss Universe pageant and people were hating on her body because she wasn't super skinny. And they came for the wrong person, because she was like, I'm not having it. My community, where I come from, and she's married. And her husband was like, oh no, you're beautiful. So she has that sort of support. And before we continue on, I just want to tell everybody, y'all want to know when I go live? Could you please text love to 87948? Who knows what time I go live every day? Sometimes I get the times all mixed up, but I'm doing my best, y'all. I'm a college professor, and I'm also a therapist, and I'm a mom of 3, and I'm a wife, and I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I got to jiggle. But I really do think that these topics are so important, and I think that you guys can really learn from it. And not many voices on YouTube is coming from a place like a Jenelle, who is confident in herself, beautiful. All shades of people are beautiful. Not everybody is a licensed therapist talking about mental health issues like they know. These armchair therapists that, you know, usually get it wrong. At least they do. It's cringy. It's cringy. But I want to talk about lay out some stats before we wrap up. Okay. This is what my assistant found. My assistant found that 90% of adolescent girls report being unhappy with their bodies, according to the National Eating Disorders Association. Also, y'all, here's some information. Adolescent girls are 3 times more likely to develop depression, clinical depression, if experiencing body image concerns. 68% of individuals with body dissatisfaction report symptoms of anxiety and depression. My goodness. Body dissatisfaction is a stronger predictor of eating disorders such as anorexia and bulimia. And by the way, and Fanny, you can talk to me about this too, anorexia is the deadliest eating disorder, the deadliest mental health disorder that we have, because if you don't get a hold of what's happening and you have anorexia, it is possible that people's just heart stops. And I was just floored when I was in school and I learned about that. I'm like, out of all of the mental health conditions, anorexia is the deadliest one, by the way. And I also want to say that 55% of women and 40% of men report feeling worse about their bodies after using social media. These are facts, y'all. Let me do one more fact here. 41% of individuals feel empowered by seeing diverse body types represented in media. And let me tell you something, Jenelle, you are one of those individuals. You're making a difference with 41% of individuals feeling empowered. I don't know how y'all feel, but I feel empowered by this conversation. I got curves. And I'm going to be proud of my curves. I wear my swimsuit when I go on vacation. But yeah, so I mean, the mental health aspects of that is something that really struck me. And I just want to, before we wrap up today, Fanny, how about you weigh in on these stats that I just laid out for you guys?
Yeah. I mean, I think that sounds really accurate. I think a lot of what was just said and just, you know, this whole hour it's all a part of it, right? The fat phobia, what we see on social, the societal expectations, the marketing of it all. I often think about, well, yeah, I have a 5-year-old daughter. You know, she's growing up in this world and she's really tall, and you know, she's already talking about, you know, color of her skin and what that means in the world now that she's in kindergarten, right? And so I think that there's just so much consciousness happening from such a young age that you grow up with. And if you don't put kids on a certain path towards loving themselves, then that inner voice doesn't get louder, right? It doesn't get louder, and it gets taken over by what your friends think and what social media says or whatever it is that they're consuming. I've been reading a lot of books around body image, and one of my favorites that I've read is actually called "The Body Is Not an Apology" by Sonia Renee Taylor. Yeah, it's a quick read, y'all, so you should check it out. It's called "The Body Is Not an Apology," and she talks about, you know, being a person that, you know, is plus size, but also she talks about people with disabilities, right? And she talks about just how we think of our bodies as something that we have to excuse, something that is an inconvenience to the world, because that's the messages that we get. And I think that that's the root of fat phobia, right? Is I don't want my body to be an inconvenience. I don't want to be seen as a freak show. So I need to make myself as small as possible to make sure, because I don't want to be judged in this world as a problem, right? And I see this a lot with women who, are bigger women who are like, I have to dress so professionally because you can't, if
Yes.
you can't afford to look sloppy. Just like how
Mhm.
we say this about Black women, like we can't have the messy girl hair look, right? Like that's like a thing that like a lot of white women do, right? But like Black women can't. No, we have to have our edges. We have to do all these things. And I think that there's a version of that that's also with fat women who say, I can't have an untucked shirt. I look sloppy, because people already assume that I am this untamed body, that there's something wrong with me, that I have no discipline, right? And so, she talks a lot about that in this book, but she also talks about, one of the first steps in combating these things is, well, what are you surrounding yourself with? If you're on social media and you feel that significantly worse when you get off, who are you following? And I really took her advice too, because I'm like, wow, why am I not following other influencers that are my body type? And I started to, because they're easy to find,
Yeah.
right? Hashtag body acceptance. You will see beautiful women who have amazing style, who do amazing things, who are models, and they look like me. And I'm out here like following all these celebrities that don't look like me, thinking that I'm supposed to, like, acting as if it doesn't impact me that I see their images all the time. Right. And so that's why it matters that my daughter has the diversity in her dolls. That's why it matters that she sees herself reflected in the world. Because I think that those are the little things that we have to do so that they can understand that people are everything. I think my biggest moment of body acceptance was the first time I went to like one of those spas where like they have the locker rooms and the women are naked. Like you're
Oh,
just, like when you go to like a Korean spa, right? Or like those spas where it's like, no, you're there to be pampered, and then you go into the locker room and the women are naked, and I'm like, no one looks the same. No one looks like the billboards. Most people don't.
no,
But these
most.
women are just so comfortable in their body because they're like, this is my body. Why wouldn't I have the right to be in here naked? I'm grooming myself. This is the women's locker room. If I can't feel liberated here, where can't I? Right? And why don't we carry that outside the locker room? Why can't we all look at our sisters and say, hey, like, how are you, sis? Like, you're beautiful. And you
Mhm.
don't look like me, and that's fine. And I'm beautiful too, and I don't look like you. Right. And that's
Yeah.
why it's such a betrayal, to see what happened to you, Jenelle, right? To get flack from your own people,
Oh,
right?
oh,
Right? Your own people. And it's like, this is ridiculous. Then what are we doing? What are we doing here?
yeah. What are we doing here? I really love that. The body is not an apology. And so how many times do you feel like you need to apologize for your body after you've given birth? I mean, even my own story. Like I remember, it's so funny when I was really in shock after I had my first baby. I wasn't prepared for the amount of weight I carried. And I thought, oh, I have the baby. I'll just go back to what I looked like before. And I didn't right away. And I remember going, the 6-week checkup to the doctor. And I remember like looking at the doctor like, I can't fit any of my clothes anymore. And I'm talking to the doctor and he's looking at me and he tells me, he says, lady, you are perfectly healthy and you have a healthy child. And it wasn't until later that I realized there are so many women, probably right as we were speaking, and who knows what the OBGYN doctor had been gone through that day, who would have loved to have traded places with me to be healthy myself and to have a fully healthy, full-term baby who was thriving. And he probably just came from the hospital of a whole bunch of women who did not have that same birthing story. And I'm talking about I can't fit back in my jeans right away. He was probably like, girl, lady, sit down somewhere. He probably was mad at me. But thinking back on it, I'm mad at myself because even me at the age of 28 or 29 at the time, even I felt victim. So even the strongest people, I was a therapist at that time, and even I was just shocked I felt like my body was something to apologize to myself for. I felt like my body betrayed me, but it was normal childbirth. It was something I never should have been ashamed of going through. And eventually I got back to normal, with a little stretch marks here and there, but I eventually got back to it. But it took time. I was nursing. A lot was going on, but it was a successful birth, and I needed to have appreciated that more. Hello. And I've had 3 children, knock on wood, normal births. So natural childbirth. And I never really appreciated that until you live a little longer and you start talking to some people. We need to honor our body. And, this is a story and I love, Jenelle, you coming on here, because this is a beautiful illustration. Your story is a beautiful illustration that's going to contribute to that 41% of people who are going to be watching this, and they're going to feel encouraged by this, because to love the body that you're in is the first step toward having good mental health, as well as taking care of yourself physically. Any parting words that you want to have for us before we leave today?
Of course. I love what you said that loving your body and loving yourself is the first step, because how I look at it is the journey of 1,000 steps, it starts as one, right? And the only way out is through. I know at times it is difficult. Right now, I'm currently in a little mental rut, and I have to tell myself, stop, pause, reassess. My body is not an apology. How inspiring. And I love taglines and words that I can just pull out very quickly I feel like if I'm getting off track. I don't need to apologize. I have a healthy body, functioning all 10 fingers and toes, and I can see and I can smell. I have all my faculties, and I have to be thankful. I have to be grateful. One thing I want to leave people with, and it's something that I say all the time, so if you ever heard this before, just know, it's my mantra. But just be prepared when you go to your table and there's not a seat prepared for you. Walk with your own table. Never apologize for who you are. You know exactly what you bring to the forefront. And I'm not going to apologize for loving myself. I know the journey that it took me to get to a point where I can truthfully say, I love me. Of course, there are days I'm not feeling 100%, or I prefer this over that. But those things are just trivial. When it all comes down to it, I am beyond thankful that I have been given this body to spread the message of beauty. Beauty is only skin deep. But for me, I have been trying to focus more and more on that person who stares back in the mirror, and more importantly, for the eyes that will be looking at me that are either birthed from me or others. I have to be that beacon of hope and light, because what the roots may not do, may the branches do. And I understand that what I am doing here and what we're all doing here in this conversation is really about laying down the foundation for the work to continue. I am all about legacy building. So 10 years from now, when they see this video floating on whatever is their platform, then the work that we have continued, because Doc, Fanny, you guys you passed on another baton to me, and I continue to do the same. Let's continue laying down foundation of self-worth, self-love, and self-acceptance. And I just want to thank you guys so much for having me. I'm going to be back.
Yes.
Get rid of me. I'm just like one time, But please feel free to follow me on @Jenelle Thongs on all platforms. And let's connect. Let's talk. As I said, open dialogue is such a powerful tool and weapon. And let's continue to have that open dialogue, because that's the only way that we're going to really break that glass stereotype and that glass ceiling. Because you're what? That girl.
That's right. We that girl. And let me tell you, you can add us to we are your community. We're part of your community that supports you. 14 years in the pageant community. This was like nothing to you. I couldn't have never imagined, first of all, getting up there and being like, I don't know what your talent was, but I couldn't imagine doing that, getting up on stage and doing all of those things.
I love it.
that it takes to be a pageant girl. Oh my gosh. You just have to carry yourself with such confidence. And that's why you got Miss Congeniality. Hello. I forgot to mention that. Miss
I love my
Congeniality.
girls. Thank you. Thank you.
That's a big deal. You were up against 127 different contestants and you got Miss Congeniality. So listen, you guys, we learned a lot today. We learned about decolonizing the beauty standard. We're shattering these standards. Come on. Hello, everybody. Then we're going to talk about it's important to have your community of people. We got a book. Everybody get this book called The Body Is Not an Apology. Hello. We are going to talk about ways the first step toward healthy living is to love the body that you're in, love all of the positive qualities of yourself before you think you need to fix something that's wrong with you. You know, there's no need to have a glow up. You're already glowing up, just being born. You're already glowing. And so you two ladies are glowing, Miss Fanny and Miss Jenelle. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, everybody in the chat. Hey, everybody joining us. Y'all glowing too. You don't need to glow up for 2025. Just continue the glow that was gifted to you as you were born. And I just want to thank everybody for joining. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.